Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing great. Today's video idea came from Billy the Great when he asked any ideas on who I could use for a speed farm team in Minotaur. And then he says he's currently doing it in 50 seconds, taking hours to farm masteries for a single champion. And then people in the comments begin to ask, why do you want to solo Minotaur? Why not just use a team? It's much faster. Well, today I want to share with you guys why it is so valuable to actually solo farm Minotaur. I want to go over kind of the three different stages: early game, mid game, late game, and then end game. And then I want to share with you all my current team that does Minotaur stage 15 in 8 seconds. Well, actually 7 seconds is my best time, but we'll go over that in just a little while. But first things first, how can you get masteries, okay? So if you're very new to the game, you got two options. You can come in here and buy your masteries with gems by simply going here. If you can't do Minotaur stage 15, if you're a very new player, this is a good deal. But if you're not a new player, this is not a good deal, okay? I recommend buying your masteries on your first few champions. Getting a good start in the game, buying masteries, getting masteries will make your champions so much better, especially War Master on champions with lifesteal gear going against the clan boss. It will quite literally double your damage at least. It is so massive, and you should definitely buy your masteries on at least your first champion. But then after that, it's not really as worth it, because your first few champions can probably solo it. Matter of fact, in my free-to-play, I took Shield Guard to 60 as my first champion, and he did Minotaur solo. Lifesteal gear, he's a defense-based champion, but I don't know if I necessarily recommend that, because Kael, if you have him as your champion, can eventually solo it, and he's going to give you a lot more benefit in the clan boss. So I'm not going to recommend that necessarily as far as the Shield Guard thing goes, but I do want to talk about the different stages. Before we do that, I want to go over some of the math and the efficiency breakdown. So all this is going to be assuming you're at the 130 energy cap as far as the gems required to actually do this during the breakdown, but the energy number is going to be the same. So whenever you get a champion from 0 masteries to full masteries doing stage 15 of Minotaur, nothing else in Minotaur is worth doing, so only do stage 15 unless you're actually working up to stage 15. Obviously, you got to clear those lower stages, but it's going to be about 2100 energy. If you're level 60 plus, it's going to be about 640 gems of strictly refills. But remember, you get free energy every day, so you can essentially farm your masteries for free. A lot of people said in my previous videos, like, hey, why do I want to use my energy to farm Minotaur scrolls when I could use that energy in these dungeons? Well, you're going to get the masteries. If you're buying with gems, the 800 gems is worth a lot more energy than the 2100 required to do Minotaur stage 15 to finish out mastery. So first things first, it's not better by no means to use your energy to farm dungeons if you actually want to use that champion, right? Keep that in mind. It's going to be cheaper to do Minotaur stage 15 by far. Like I said, assuming you value your resources in the game. If you don't value your gems, then go ahead and buy all the masteries, of course. But 150 runs on average. So scrolling down, let's see. Assuming you have your 100% XP boost on, you're going to get like 20,600 energy. I went ahead and rounded it down just for the math's sake to 20,000. So you should have the XP boost on, first things first. And if you do, it's going to be 20,000 experience. Let me break this down for you guys and show you how this gets to be very interesting. So if you have one champion in here, it's going to be 100% experience going to Kael, just for example. So 100% of the 20,000 is going to Kael. You throw two champions in here, it's going to be a 50-50 split. 10,000 is wasted because Kael's max level. 10,000 is going to Skull of Argal because he is not max level. Throw it on here, it's going to be a 1/3 split, so 30%, 30%, 30%, which is like 6,000 more or less. So 6, 12, 18, close to that number, but only 33% experience is getting wasted this time. Throw in another champion, this is more. Less percentage being wasted, more percentage of experience being divvied out to the champion. It's going to be 25% experience being wasted, 25% experience going to each one of these three champions. And then throwing in your last champion, it's going to be 20% experience wasted on Kael, but then you're going to have 80% experience being utilized, which is far better than the initial, well, 100% waste of obviously, but even much better than the 50-50 split. But the 50-50 split is far better than having a full team of champions, because if you had a full team of level 60 champions, you had one champion right here getting their masteries, then now you're getting a waste of 1, 2, 3, 4, 80% waste, and only 20% of the experience is going to the champion with the masteries, okay? So hopefully you guys follow along. It doesn't require a full team to do Minotaur. Minotaur is very easy dungeon. You can throw very early lifesteal gear on your champions. If you're going for accuracy, 125 is perfectly fine, but you want to get through it with as little as possible. This is far better than this, okay? Assuming all these champions were max level, this is bad. This is better, okay? So try to get the least possible amount of wasted experience, and you're going to be good to go. So the next thing I want to talk about is how much experience you're actually going to be earning and what else you're going to earn. Because experience is nice, but that's not the only thing you're missing out on if you're buying your masteries. You're also missing out on silver. So if you do the math on one champion, 150 runs, you're getting 7,420 silver per run. Obviously, sometimes it's going to take more than 150 runs. Sometimes it's going to take less. But on average, you're going to be getting about 1 million silver per champion you run the masteries for. So you're getting experience, you're getting the masteries, and you're getting silver. 4 champions, about 4 million silver. You're getting 12 million experience, I believe, spread out through those different champions. And you're getting the masteries on 4 different champions. So you're getting silver, experience, and masteries, which is a very, very good combo when you're just spending energy that could potentially be your free energy over time. Now, I understand most players don't have 4 champions they're ready to mastery. You don't want to use just food champions. That's pointless. You only want to use champions here that you actually plan to use. If you only plan to use 2 champions and you're ready to mastery them, just do this. If you only plan to use 1, this is still far more efficient than using a full team, having it to be just a few seconds faster, and now, yeah, you're wasting so much on your champions, okay? So as far as what champions you can use to actually solo Minotaur, let's jump into it. So at the very beginning of the game, you're probably going to use a champion like Kael, Aethel, Elhain, Gallic, possibly Shieldguard if you wanted to invest in Shieldguard. Maybe you pulled a really good legendary champion. The idea is that you're not trying to speed farm it at this point. This point of the game, you're mostly looking to survive and AoE the waves down. Okay, most champions can do that. So you're going to be focused on building good attack. Sorry, not good attack, good HP, good defense, crit rate ideally to 100%, just so it's consistently the same speed, and then good speed, ideally 200 plus speed, and you're going to get through the waves. Kael is doing it here pretty reasonably. I think he does it in like a minute and a half or so. And then once you get past this early game stage where you have to build a lot of survivability, a lot of sustainability, you're not really going for crit damage, not really going for attack, no real damage stats, then you're going to slowly begin to transition into a stage a little bit later in the game where you get a little bit stronger nukers, get a little bit more damage dealers. Maybe you get a really good defense-based nuker. Maybe you get a really good attack-based champion who can also crowd control the enemies. You're going to begin to switch into the route of controlling the waves, but doing a lot more damage. You're not so worried about actually surviving through the waves because the waves aren't really going to hit you. You're going to damage through them very quickly. You're going to control them. You're going to weaken them, and you're going to be good to go. I'll give you an example of that in just a second. And then once you move past that point, you're going to get into the stage of bringing an attack-based nuker. No necessary control. You're just hardcore blasting through the waves. Leoris, Ithos, Ray, those champions can do it very, very quick. This is a minute and a half. So once you move past Kael, let me show you guys his gear real quick. So currently he's sitting in this gear. Obviously not early game gear by no means. It is 6-star. But I've done a video talking about Shieldguard doing it, and you don't need amazing gear to actually do this. Ideally, look for 100% crit rate. But if you don't have that, not even a huge deal, because Kael's A2, I believe, has some built-in crit rate as it is. So not even a 100% requirement to have that 100% crit rate. The bottom stuff, obviously you guys probably are not going to have these pieces, but he can do it. Prioritize surviving a lot more than you prioritize actually doing damage. If you survive the waves, you're going to kill the boss. If you don't survive the waves, then you're not going to kill the boss. As far as his masteries go, you should buy these. Go ahead and finish the skills, and this is going to be a perfectly fine setup. Now let's say you get past that point, okay? Now you want to transition into kind of the mid game. You want a farmer who's a bit faster. You don't necessarily have a ton of amazing gear, but you can do some damage, but you don't really want to take forever. So a champion like Stoutus, a champion like Ragash, a champion like Astralon, he's actually just destroying the waves. But basically, champions who can decrease the enemy's turn meter, who can stun the enemy, sleep the enemy possibly, though you could wake them up, provoke the enemy possibly, but champions who can lock down the enemies are going to be the champions who you want to bring, so then you can get an attack, maybe even Ray. She freezes the enemies. Ray gets attacked, freezes them, they wake up, you get another turn, they never took a turn, makes you run very fast, makes it very safe. But a champion like Stoutus, who was a champion from the guaranteed event, I believe not too long ago, can do it in 35 seconds. he's an amazing champion, and he's very safe. He brings an increased defense for himself. He brings a stun on all enemies, Ragash as well. But not only that, you're also building them for defense because they're defense-based nukers. So even if they do get hit, they're going to survive. So you can dedicate a ton of resources into actually making these champions smack and smack very hard. Speed, not as important. You can be under 200 speed. You could probably even be 130 speed because you're going to ideally one-shot the waves. And if you don't, you're going to be controlling them. So his stats are good HP. We have good defense. Speed, doesn't really matter. And then 100% crit rate, good crit damage. And then the accuracy, you obviously want at least 125, which is required to land the debuffs on the boss. So shoot for 125, and then masteries. Really, this is basically going to be your arena nuker. So put whatever arena nuker masteries you want. And then once you're at this point, you're going to either move into a faster solo farming champion, or for me, I recently swapped from a solo farming champion, which I could do Baron. Baron isn't that much faster right now with how I have him set up than, say, Stoutus. Stoutus is actually a really good champion to do the solo farming. So here's a team example. I'm going to use some presets because presets don't really matter in Minotaur because you're not going to be like you would in Dragon where you're running it overnight and then swapping out champions who need to be leveled up. With Minotaur, you're just going to run until their masters are finished. Once their masters are finished, that's really all that matters, and then you're going to be good to go. So Baron, he may not be able to finish this, and you also keep in mind, you do have champions running alongside your champion, so they could help. However, I don't recommend actually building your champions to do much because it's just going to slow the runs down. It's best if they just die, but if not, not a huge deal. So this run right here is going to be about the same speed as Stoutus. My Baron is not set up to actually do the correct stuff in the right order, which is not a huge deal because I think I'm going to go with the route of a little bit less efficient, but far, far faster. So we're doing 40 seconds. That's a pretty poor example. Obviously, it's going to be slower depending on the champions you have with you. But let's go ahead and get this other example, okay? So right here, we have Baron plus Ghostborn. This is my 7-second Minotaur stage 15 farming team. So it's not unlimited FPS right now, so it's probably going to be like 10 seconds, but it's still an amazing team. And you can make this team even faster. If my Ghostborn was able to one-shot these waves, this could be a 5-second run. So there we go. Let me do it a few more times, see if I can actually one-shot the boss. Obviously, if I miss that one shot, it's going to be a bit slower. So let me go turn it on unlimited real quick and see how fast it can be. But with this team, I still have, okay, it is unlimited. Okay, sweet. So with this team, I still have the efficiency benefit. I have 40% experience being wasted between these two champions, but I still have a good amount of experience being gained between these three. And then I can basically run, if it's 10 seconds per run, I got to do 150 runs. It's going to be not that long at all until I finish the masteries on one champion. So I can get through stuff very, very quickly. So what is it? If I did 10 seconds a run times 150 divided by 60, it's going to be what, 25 minutes per champion? So 50, 75 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes about to finish masteries on all three of these champions. That's not bad at all. 8 seconds. You guys may have missed that. Let's do that again real quick. So boom, Baron kills the first wave. Boom, we kill the second wave. And then Ghostborn does a decreased defense. Baron smacks really hard and it runs over. 8-second Minotaur stage 15. Get your masteries done in no time. So as you're progressing, your teams are going to get faster and faster. But building a solo Minotaur farmer is going to allow you to get experience, good silver. It's going to allow you to level your champions. Ideally, start them at level 1 5-star and then rank them up when they hit 5-star level 50. Stop your mastery farming, put them back in there, let them level up again from level 1 6-star up to level maybe like 55. That's probably where they'll end their masteries depending on how many champions you have alongside them. And then finish them off in campaign or give them some brews or something like that. It's going to be no problem whatsoever. But I want to say, if you're using a solo Minotaur farmer, it's going to be far more efficient than if you're bringing a full team. And now, obviously, your time is dependent. If your team is very slow, or if your solo Minotaur farmer is very slow and you wanted to get it done faster, then go ahead, bring a team. It's completely up to you guys. But I did want to share the information on why it's so valuable to actually have a solo Minotaur farmer. And if you have Baron plus Ghostborn, this is the builds. It's a little bit extreme, especially more so on the Ghostborn. Baron's a great champion for arena nuking, but as far as Ghostborn goes, it's a little more than what's realistic, okay? Most people don't have Ghostborn in lethal plus cruel with a bunch of attack and just trying to smack the waves as hard as possible. ideally, he would one-shot the first wave, Baron would kill the second wave, and on the third wave, Ghostborn would do a lot of damage, leaving the side minion very low on HP, and then Baron's A1 ability would just destroy the boss in one shot. That would set up for like a 5 or 6 second run, I believe, but I'm not able to quite reach that, unfortunately. Maybe soon. But guys, with that said, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.